how do you draw the line between using technology, say, for example, AI in automation and the rest of that, and human connection?
I would say that's still part of like your system design. There are ways you can, develop your system such that there still needs to be like a human in the loop.
You need to understand its usage and know how to use it to better what you're doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel, AI would completely just take my job away.
A lot of people are driven by money, true. But if you actually want money comes to value. Money flows to places of value. So find the thing that you're really good at, that is also on the intersection of the thing that everybody wants, and can pay for, and do that thing very well.
I've had a lot of people say that, people should know that they're not going to make a lot of money in their first year. Sometimes you might not even make any money in your first year, sometimes a year and a half or two. So how was it in your own case when you started as a newbie in tech? Yeah. Did you make money in your first year? Because I want people to know this. B2B did get louder. It got smarter. And today, closing deals ain't just about handshakes alone. They're shaped by data, driven by systems, and backed by technologies. My name is Essien, and you're welcome to another amazing episode on Tech Talk. And today we're going to be unpacking how technology is fundamentally reshaping B2B's relationship and revenue. Today with me on the show is a product and growth marketing consultant. He's worked for well over 20 companies in Africa, North America, and Europe. He's a founder and lead creator at Marketing in Action. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Mr. James Praise. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you so much.
I almost said JP for James Praise.
Yeah, that still works.
Okay, so just to get started on the lighter note, so people get to know who you are and what you do. Yeah. Can you just tell the audience what you do at Marketing in Action, and as well as give us just a little bit of a brief history on how you started working, let's say probably from, your first company, what you started doing up until this moment, and what shaped MIA. All
right. So I actually work with two companies at the moment. Okay. So MIA still extends into the second one, which is Titaja. And Titaja is a product marketing agency. Right. I have a co-founder there, and we have a team where we consult for different startups that are product-led. For Marketing in Action is more of a marketing community and ecosystem where we have like an academy to train product marketers, growth marketers, and even like in emerging technologies like AI and GTM engineering. Okay. We also do because we're training people in the academy, then we also get people reach out that they want to hire people from that same pool of candidates, right? So there's a job side of it, it's an academy, there's a community, and everything that's just about marketing. So a bit of background for my career is I didn't start out, thinking about marketing. I never thought about I was going to do marketing or, be in that space. Mm-hmm. It's a typical Nigerian thing where you go to school first. Okay. You do whatever, and they tell you can work anywhere, right? So I did study biochemistry, but just immediately I finished my project in school, I got a job at a marketing agency, right? Okay. But what I did there was not even marketing. What I did there was like client services, more like admin, and then a bit of small marketing stuff because of the environment I was in. And so I didn't spend much time there before I had to go for like my NYSC. I left to Enugu State, came back to Lagos. I didn't really do it there. I came back to Lagos for to serve the time of the NYC, and where I worked then was now a travel agency. And what I was doing there was now digital marketing. Okay. Right. But I didn't have real experience in the field at the time. I'd not gone through any formal training and stuff. So I did try to figure things out, but everything was just, interesting to me and how, I saw things and things that I was responsible for at the time. So I did what most people would do. You start taking courses in marketing, start with like Google fundamentals of digital marketing. Okay. HubSpot had a lot of resources then. I took a bunch of them. I think I missed something. I also still worked at Jumia. I think that was where I was really exposed into how I think interesting and fascinating like corporate wars, because Jumia was kind of the incubator company for a lot of startups, people from Jobberman, OPay, and all the companies that came out at the time were all like people that worked at Jumia, right? So that was really interesting. That was what really made me very much interested in actually pursuing this and being like getting to the top possible in that career, right? So over time, I would definitely work with a bunch of different companies, mostly first in Nigeria, just trying to get more skill. So whatever I learn, I want to implement. So if I find a job that allows me to put that into practice, I'll take it and I'll do it. And I jumped a lot, earlier in my career. I moved to a lot of different places. I really began to now settle more in, I think 2021, when I started to work properly in like tech startups, right? So I'd worked doing a lot of like traditional agency, e-commerce, retail before I started. And then when I got into tech, I was like, I'm gonna die here.
Okay, so just to come in, I'm also a digital marketer. I've been a digital marketer for over 6 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just don't plan that this is the path that we want to take. So I wanted to ask, was there an actual path that you wanted to take? As for myself, I was really in love with football. I wanted to play football, professionally. But at some point, I got to love digital marketing. I started as a graphic designer. Then I delved into content creation. Then I started, doing sponsored ad and the rest and, stuff like that. So I just wanted to know, was there a, childhood dream at the time that you wanted to do before you stumbled on tech and said, this is where I want to be?
Well, I think that changed multiple times when I was growing up. Initially, I was like, I used to be fascinated with cartoons, and I would watch this guy, Jimmy Neutron, because Jimmy is also my name. Jimmy is like,
Okay.
So I was like, I want to be someone that can build stuff, create stuff, invent stuff that solves real problems. That was the thing. But because there's a curse to being like a smart kid, as when you're small and, you're always first in school, stuff like that. So they would typically send you to science class, right? Because you cannot waste all that knowledge. Whatever. So I was in science class, and when it came time to choose what to study, I chose biochemistry. I didn't really know what I was doing there, right? But it was more like I didn't want to do medicine. I was not interested. I'm usually not interested in the popular stuff, right?
Okay.
So I was like, let me find something else that's more research-driven and scientific. So I went into biochemistry. So my idea before I finished school was still like, I'll do this thing for a bit. I would go into corporates and I don't know, I'll figure it out from there, right? But when I was in the university, I did two things that majorly like kind of influenced my career now. Is one of them is that I started to somehow manage communities and grow social media pages.
Okay.
I had like large following on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and stuff. And that, like, because of that, people will reach out like, how did you do this? And, help me work on this for my own business. And then I will sell my account sometimes because like people that need it urgently, like they don't have time to start growing their account. They just want something that is ready-made. So I will sell my accounts to them and start again with a fresh account. So that was like small digital marketing at the time. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing something. So I got a lot of gigs then in school around what I was doing then. The second thing is when we're in like the final year of school, I worked on a lot of research projects, right? I was doing like data analysis and things like that, working with numbers. So those two skills are kind of things that still like, are still prevalent in my career now. And when I saw like, okay, this was something that people like really do, I was like, yeah, why not?
That's cool. I know you have a long line of experience in growth marketing, and you've also serviced B2B. So I wanted to ask, how do you think technology right now is actually shaping B2B in terms of relationship at the time?
Okay, so I do have like. There was a time I actually worked in sales proper, right?
Okay.
I took a job in sales. I did partnerships. I did revenue operations. And then at some point, I was chief revenue officer. So I had responsibility of building like the whole sales function and team and targets and goals and stuff like that. So that gave me a lot of perspective. That was a bit of pivot away from marketing. But after doing that, I went back. So I think at the moment, because of technology's evolution, tools, platforms, there is more things that can be automated or assisted with technology now in the way that B2B or general sales has been done, right? Then before things, blew up is we used to, there's a very important part of the sales process, which is like prospecting, like doing research, trying to find companies and contacts that fit in your criteria of who you want to service in your company, right? And that process used to be very manual And, it takes a lot of time because you're trying to reach out to people that do not even know you or what you offer. So you spend a lot of time doing research and trying to find an angle to which to send a message. So maybe that's going to be a cold call, an email or LinkedIn, right? So that process is to be very manual. We'll put together like a lot of documentation. We'll find, okay, this is what the company is doing at the moment. This is what the industry is saying. They've raised some money. This is probably the challenges they are facing. And then we use that as an angle to like pitch, right? That took a lot of time, right? And you need to like assemble an army of like SDRs, we call them like sales development representatives, that will do all that background work and then send out the message to try to establish contacts. And then there was like maybe like an account manager or account executive that now, if your outreach is successful, then you're going to have a conversation, which is like a discovery call or a physical meeting at an office. And you now start to discuss, okay, what are the challenges they are facing that we can solve? So that whole process, will typically take months in a B2B organization for that sales process. But today, with all of the tools, the evolution of tools and technology, you can actually prospect in a day or less, right? If you've set up your system such that you can prospect and then you can iterate on even your messaging, because after you do all this work and you send out a message and the angle is not correct, you have to do another background work again. So spending more time and more resources and people to do all of that. But these days, you can actually do it faster if you have the right tools and like frameworks to execute.
That's actually, an exciting one. And I definitely know it's insightful for, people that are listening right now. Yeah. But before we go ahead at this show, would like you to do something very little for us, the viewers watching. Would like you to share this video, would like you to like as well as subscribe and turn on notification to know when a new video drops, as well as if you'd like to interact with us on socials, you can find us everywhere across all social media platforms with the address showing on your screen. So getting back to what you were saying, about prospecting, because I know, the issue people have at the time is, especially with the digital age with technology, is trust.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how do you see trust in the area on the advent of technology? Has it made it easier for people to trust people, or it's made it harder to maintain?
I think what it does is it makes it faster to determine if someone is worth trusting or worth giving your time.
Okay, I want you to put a cue on that. Like how does it make it faster?
Yeah. So I mean, without now, if someone sends you an email, right? You definitely, even before you respond, you're going to check them out. Like, okay, who is this person? Someone that's never reached out to you before. You're going to want to check their profile. What's this person up to? You go to like LinkedIn, you could Google search, try to find information to help you make an objective decision before you decide if it's worth responding to. Because most times, a lot of like emails or outbound don't receive any responses, but it doesn't mean that they're not seen, right? The person has acted on the information they can find about you and your business, and they can verify like your legitimacy very quickly, right? So I think that's the trust decision making is faster because of tech, right? People can, except you have zero digital presence, you have no website, you have no proof of anything online, then that makes it even more harder for them to like, okay, who is this person? Like, is it worth having a meeting with this person, right? But there's so much tools and tech now that people can use to determine if, you're worth talking to. I mean, there's the evolution of like even email filtering now that, your message might be useful, but it goes to spam or it goes to like promotions that you won't see it in your inbox just because the tools have made a decision for you whether this person is worth trusting or not. So I think it's just faster now. Not necessarily easier or harder, but it's faster.
Okay, that's great. So I wanted to ask, do you see CRM as a tool or as a means for strategy? Because most people just basically see CRM as just a tool, to be used.
Yeah, well, by definition, it is a tool, right? But it can be so much more than that. Like if it can act as one of your sources of truth, right? To engage with your prospects or your existing customers. Because if you set up like the right infrastructure with like your data and your CRM, you can be able to see, the progress of how that relationship is evolving from when maybe you're still like a prospect that you've not established contacts with to when you've started to have like discovery, you're in conversation. So when you move to like decision making and maybe you sign a contract, and then maybe when they become an active client and you're servicing them, tools like a HubSpot or Salesforce would give you, if you're going to have a team of like multiple salespeople or account managers, someone else can pick it up from where you stopped. If there's a conversation history, on like HubSpot, it would stream into the person's email. So I can say, okay, this was the last thing they discussed. We're supposed to send him an SOP or, an MOU or something like that, or statement of work. And, this guy is out of office today, so I should do that and just take it up from there. But your CRM is really your source of truth. It's more than just a tool that you just use to maybe prospect. If you look at it holistically, there's so much more you can derive from that if you have the right data.
Okay. So talking about, deriving money and making revenue from CRM, I understand that there are a few companies that are actually starting up right now that still don't, make use of, proper CRM systems.
Yeah.
So my question is two parts. The first question is, how do you tend to say, probably you want to sensitize some companies that don't have these systems in place to say, oh yes, you actually need this, and, you can actually move from, X to Z with this, and how do you, tend to, how can you explain to a layman that by using CRM systems in your workplace, you could actually make X revenue, from this to this, as to the traditional way that they were working?
So I think at CRM essentially is like still an evolution of keeping contacts, but because even by definition, CRM is customer relationship management, like a CRM software, right? So it helps you to manage customer relationships. So the more efficient you want to be, the more money you definitely make in business, right? When you start, you're just like a one-man team, or it's you and maybe your assistants that are working on stuff. It's possible that, context might not be lost if, you're just two of us now. So, I need to meet up with Frank tomorrow. This is what we are offering him. And maybe I have a note somewhere. I'm writing these things down, or maybe a document somewhere that, there's all of this information, like we're keeping records basically, right? But the more your team grows, the more your business expands, then it is of zero sense if you continue to use, those outdated methods, right? Not necessarily outdated method, but that method does not scale without like a real software or CRM software that automates a lot of the process for you, right?
Make it easy for you.
And this is like depending on your company stage, right? So if you're starting, like you're absolutely a startup from scratch, you don't have funding, you don't have money, you might not start with a CRM, off the bat. You might try to make use of available resources. You can be creative and improvise. I've done this too, where we have like documentation in maybe like Google Docs. You're not paying for that. We have CRM is kind of like, will be like an Excel or Google Sheet, right? Google Sheet mostly because of the cloud capabilities. And then we have like columns and rows where we just manage like, okay, this is for this prospect, this is for that and that. And someone has to manually update the status of those things. But that does not connect to all of our systems. But you can still get creative. Maybe you do some automations and stuff like that. But that is a lot of work. It's not efficient, depending on your team size. Once you grow and you have at least some resources, you need to start to invest in your tools, even beyond CRM. You need to invest in the tools that will make it easy for you to grow, and not just worry about the headache of, all of those manual processes. So it's really a thing of how much do you want to grow, right? Those are like investments. I won't even say they're expenses per se, because they help you to make more money.
Of course.
Right? Definitely. So that's what I think.
So I wanted to ask, what are the common CRM mistakes that you see that, most B2B, make at this time, like most B2B businesses make?
Well, one of them I would say is like underutilization of, your CRM systems, because they're supposed to help you basically make better decisions. Someone needs to take ownership of, or maybe generally there needs to be like a culture of making decisions based on data, right? So before we launch maybe a new campaign, before we proceed on a deal, you have the record already. So what are you doing with the data? What is the insight you're getting out of it? So you check, right? You analyze. I mean, you even have tools now, like AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude, that can help you to dive into your data and help you to spot insights. Like, okay, we find that the couple emails you sent have not been responded to. There has not been follow-up. you have not been updating the stages of your deal properly, which is very important as well. You need to update some CRMs might automatically update the status of your deal they have like some AI capabilities inside. So based on the conversation history that they are able to record, sometimes you connect it to your call systems, call, email, and maybe even your LinkedIn or whatever channel you're using to communicate. So it knows, okay, the way this conversation is progressing now, because you guys have now started to speak about contracts, then the deal has moved from discovery to the proposal stage, or the contracting stage. And you've seen, signatures have been exchanged already. So this is like a closed deal. Now this is an active customer, and then we should be looking at upsell or cross-sell, for us to expand revenue. So it's just underutilization basically of the data you get from your CRM, and also the thing of not collecting the right data or updating your data correctly too, right? Because CRM systems kind of have a general framework of company, contact, and deal. I think you will see this in most CRM softwares. And that makes sense because you're at the level you are trying to reach out, especially B2B, you're reaching out to a company. And then in that company, who are you talking to? There's a contact there or contacts in that company, and you associate them with the company, right? And then the conversation that is going to generate revenue for you in your business is the deal, right? So you link a deal to the company and the contact. So you know that, okay, this is what I'm speaking to, Jones about, and it is this deal for this company, right? And these are the people that are involved. Like, so this, we understand who the key decision makers in the company is. And these are things that your CRM can tag. This is the decision maker. This is how the conversation is progressing. This is where we are at. So basically, still it comes back to the underutilization of your CRM. Yeah,
I remember you were talking about the data and stuff. So I want to ask two questions. How do you manage data overload for CRM systems? And secondly, I know that there are a couple of companies that you have that you're servicing at the moment. Say, okay, yes, use our CRM systems. I just want to ask a personal question as to, MIA marketing in action.
Yeah.
Are there times where you've actually had a client that was unsatisfied, with the CRM system and the services that you were providing? And how at that time were you able to, maneuver? What did you do in response to that client?
Okay, I'll say, well, not about like we providing CRM service to them, but when we work with clients, we'll definitely want to help them to set up like their data and like reporting systems.
Okay.
Right. And some companies might, depending on stage, most companies already have like a CRM they use internally to manage relationships. So it's mostly a thing of like RevOps, helping them to make sure that they are collecting the right data and acting on the right data, right?
Okay.
And it's really something that we always like propose to companies that, you need to collect the right data and you need to use that data as well. So you kind of need to already dedicate some kind of capacity to like data management, right? And just making sure like you're tagging your data correctly, you're collecting data in the right format so that you can use them and you can like analyze that data as well. So I think that's really the point in just advocating for correct use of like CRM systems and all other data systems that are involved in like your revenue processes.
What technology actually has, delivered the best ROI for you? The highest ROI that you've gotten at the time, looking at marketing in action? What's that particular investment that you've made in technology that you could say, for my company, this has actually, moved my game, from, let's say, 50 to 70 or 70 to 100?
I'll say right now it's AI, man.
a lot of people are tapping into AI seriously.
So I mean, not just AI, anything that makes you more productive. So it ties to both AI and automations, right?
Okay.
You would find, for me, I'm kind of a very big advocate of frameworks and templates, right?
Okay.
Systemizing whatever it is that you're doing. So if you realize that you're doing something repeatedly over time, then you need to find a way to template that, because that way you can now pass that knowledge and process to someone else and they can do exactly what you're doing without your supervision anymore, because you have like documentation. So before I go to say that it's AI, I'll say it's really that systemizing and documentation mindset that I've employed for the longest, right? Because that's really the way you even scale businesses, right? So if you're, let me say, a CEO that still has to do everything by yourself, then you are still, you are not yet there yet, right? You're not there yet. So it's really about how you can systemize your business. And that's what like automation tools and AI will allow you to do. And automation tools, such like Zapier, N8N, so that like lots of processes in like even in marketing and sales that you need to automate. For instance, if you realize that you have a kind of process, and this is something I'm even facing with, like you have a process where you're selling, this is e-commerce or retail or anything that is like large volume customers, and people are buying stuff from you, and they need to get the next stage. You have like logistics, you have delivery, you have operations. You're definitely going to be able to map out the operating process of how your business works, your business model. Okay. And you can find that because of, to remove human error, right? You can optimize with like some operational improvements where you automate those different parts that connect and are predictable enough, right? Everything that is predictable enough can be automated, right? Except it's bespoke, custom. You have to do something fresh all the time. But if you're doing something that is like the same process, same repeated process, same very predictable process, you can automate that. The second leverage is the AI side of things. But AI is only as useful as the kind of data you have and context you can provide, right? So if you're actively collecting the right data in your company, then that's where AI is going to be like a 100x, 1000x for you because you have data. If not, it's just going to operate on the general data it has, which is just an aggregate of good and bad from everywhere in the world, right? But when you have your own very specific data, that's the most leverage.
Yeah, this is very insightful to a lot of people that are listening, talking about, automating your systems and, your processes actually. Now, back to what we're discussing. I know you were talking about automation and, putting this stuff in data and the rest, but I wanted to ask, because I know a lot of people would run to AI these days and, it really doesn't help and people don't think too much these days. But now coming to the area of CRM, how do you draw the line between, using technology, say, for example, AI in automation and the rest of that, and human connection? Where do you say this is the point where at least we need to come in as humans?
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I would say that's still part of like your system design. There are ways you can, develop your system such that there still needs to be like a human in the loop, right? To make decisions or to approve the outcome of a process, right? So there are definitely some things that, are too manual for you to do. Anything that's just too manual and too boring and it doesn't add any real tangible value should be thrown at AI. But the outputs of that should be approved by a human being, that knows what the output should look like so that you can correct, you can course correct, you can feed back to that system and like, okay, no, this is not the output I'm looking for. Because if you outsource all your work and you're thinking to AI, it's not going to work.
That's very correct.
Right?
Like, the last episode we had, we're talking about artificial intelligence with a guest that we had on the show. And I was trying to say that we understand that AI is, actually top notch when it comes to doing things quickly.
Yeah.
But at some point, we understand that there's going to be that human connection that is necessary. And a lot of people were, we're saying a lot of stuff about, AI coming and taking jobs and, humans are gradually feeling that they're silently being replaced. But one thing I understand with, advent of technology is, you need to understand its usage and know how to use it to better what you're doing at the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel, AI would completely just take my job away. There are a lot of people now that are like, oh yeah, for video creators, content creators, AI can do these things. But I still tell them that in as much as these systems are created, you still need the functioning human connection of somebody to say, okay, yes, put this prompt in, put this stuff and let this thing move. You're very correct. You're very correct. Are there any decisions or what decisions don't you ever make without data? That's the first question. And the second part question, is in marketing in action, what you guys do at MI, are there any form of, let's say, training that you provide? Do you provide any training to people? So because, people listening to me now would want to, plug in to say, okay, yes, I'd like to, get to know a few things. And if that is possible, is there going to be, let's say, probably a link that we can actually drop, for people to say they want to register and connect with you?
Yes. Okay, that's the questions. First one is like, are there decisions I make without data?
Yeah.
I don't think so. So the data is, there are like different types of data or forms of data. You can break it down into like there's quantitative data, which is really numbers, right? Just numbers. There's qualitative data, which is more like context around what exactly those numbers mean, right? And then there's intuitive data, which is data you derive from just your own human interactions, your own taste, your own experiences, right? So it is all still data. So even when someone say, "Oh, my guts, I have this gut feeling," it's still data somehow, because that's based on your own experiences and some of your reasoning, decisions you've made, and you feel like this is the correct approach to this problem. So you will still make decisions based on data. It just depends on what type of data you're making your decisions off of, right? And there's still the thing about the human element still being very important, right? Because there are things that happen in real time, and you make decisions in real time based on the feedback you're getting from someone you're conversing with or the situation you're experiencing, right? It's not like, oh, you guys should wait. Let me go and check. Let me go and check data, or something like. No, you have to make decisions on the spot, right? So that's one. Second question is about MIA and training.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have like an academy. That's MIA Academy, and we position to train people on the latest and emerging technologies for go-to-market. And go-to-market is marketing, product marketing, growth marketing, GTM engineering. There's tech sales and anything that is just involved in revenue driving functions of organizations, right? So we have a couple of programs, like there's boot camps, because of, people that want to focus on a particular thing for a period of time and get a real output from it. There is also like self-paced modules that we do have where people can take courses on their own time if you feel like you're disciplined enough to push yourself to complete stuff like that. Most times you're lying. Most times people don't complete those things, right?
But I hope this courses and this training are affordable to the general public.
Yeah, extremely affordable.
Okay.
I think the most affordable on the market at the moment, right? So yeah, we do have a training facility capacity to train individuals and even organizations, right? We've organized trainings for companies as well in the past. Just finding like when the company has like, this is a certain need we need. Like for now, it's like most people are looking at how do we actually implement and use AI in our organization to improve our capacity and our operations. And we come in and we show them like best practices, and over a couple of maybe days or weeks, depending on what the structure is, and they're good.
So if you're listening to this right now, you should know that these are many of the services that are provided for marketing in action. Yeah. So just understand that you can actually look below this and you could find there's definitely going to be a link that's provided, the caption point. So you can actually click on that link. You should see, the services that are being provided and you can plug into one of them. So, back to what we were speaking about, talking about data. So I wanted to ask, CRM, we understand that CRM, stores data, but, personally for your business, what is the greatest impact that CRM has actually, giving you in your business?
Yeah, I would still say it's still that being a source of truth, right? We run multiple businesses under MIA, right? And the data we collect allows us to figure out what we need to do next, where we are like lagging behind, who our contacts are, especially for instance, we have a bunch of, so because we do have like a media arm, which is like a newsletter, community and stuff, we do used to have sponsors. So even managing sponsor relationships is really important to us, because now if we want to do something else and we actually like need to bring our sponsors in, that's where we find, these are all the contacts we've interacted with, these are all their names, this is where the conversation stopped, right? For the academy part of things too, people that have enrolled in whatever of our programs before, and maybe we're launching something new, like, okay, these guys took this particular program, that means that it's possible that this one will be very useful to them as well, and we reach out. We're launching a new product, right? We have a database of people that we could push it to already, because we already have like our distribution, right? As opposed to having to look for new channels to send and communicate our offerings to all the time. So it's really key for what we do.
Okay, so I would ask, what do you say, or what would you say clients expect today? Do they expect speed more than depth, or they expect depth more than speed?
Interesting. I think most people, and this is because of ill information, want speed. They want to, like, I heard that
everything go
can do
very
it now,
fast.
you get, but you also has maybe like a consultant have to now educate them as like, this is the reason why we need to actually do it based on this process. We're still going to be fast, but we're going to still spend time making sure that decisions we are making are correct before we now, go head on into it, right? So it's still like the thing of, as I spoke somewhere recently, I was like, there is like speed and there's velocity, right? From physics, there's like speed is just you're being fast, you're doing it fast, you're sure going fast. But velocity is like you're going in a particular direction. So it's still speed, but now targeted speed. Do you get? So we need to spend time first with strategy, making sure that we're making the right decisions. We have everything covered. And when we're now absolutely sure that, yes, this is what we're going to do, then we can speed it up, and get it done. But if we're just rushing everything, we're not going to really make any impact.
Okay. So speaking to you down as as a founder that you are, I understand that a lot of people before getting started, they had, issues with, seed funding and stuff. Like some people like, okay, yes, I have this idea, but how do I bring it to life? With the little that I have at the time. So were there times where before starting MIA that you had issues of, sponsors, partnerships, seed funding, stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every business starts with that challenge. Well, maybe not every business, but most business. So there needs to be money coming from somewhere, right? For most people, I'll still advise, like, if you have something you want to pursue, go and make the money for it. And you can make the money for it by, raising money from friends and family. You can go and take a loan or whatever it is. But if you don't have those facilities to maybe take a loan, raise money and give out equity, then you need to bootstrap. And that's me. You're going to fund it with the cash you already have. Sometimes you need to find the ways to make the business idea you have might need a break-even point. That means that it's going to take maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years before your business starts to make money that can balance the expenses enough to justify all the, efforts and funding you've put into it, right? Lots of tech businesses are like, and that's how they raise money all the time, because it's you need a lot of capital to push it to the point where it can now start to generate revenue, right? So for people that don't have all of that equity and loan options, friends and family thing, even friends and family is still most times like an equity arrangement, right?
Yes.
You probably have a full-time job that is paying you good money, and you keep allocating some of your own personal funding into that thing that you want to do, and get it moving, right? Till it can stand on its own and you can actually now focus 100% into it. So that's what I really advise founders. Find the money for your business, and then, go all in.
Okay, would you say digital marketing tools have improved trust over time, or it's just maybe sublime? Would you say they've improved trust over time, digital marketing tools, looking at today's B2B businesses?
I think trust is still with tools. Like I said, speed. You make decisions faster. But it's also possible that the bad actors can be exposed faster as well, right? So maybe the tools have made information very much accessible, so people are more skeptical, about communications they are receiving. They're being bombarded by so many different offers and emails. There's so much news and information everywhere that people are like, it's overwhelming. So in a way, it might have reduced trust, right? That we have all of these tools everywhere doing all sorts of things. You can't even say, that, okay, because somebody sends you a message now, this looks like ChatGPT, like, and that already defeats the purpose of you responding to the person because of that. So that people are not even doing the work to actually sit down and communicate properly and read and say what's really on their mind. Now, you might just think 2 thoughts and ChatGPT the rest. So you just so I think because of that bad usage, then trust will actually definitely reduce across board, because we all feel like you're playing with me, stuff like that.
Now, I understand that being as a leader, it's very important and it's pivotal that you make decisions. So I wanted to ask, is there a particular time that you've actually taken a tech decision that did not go as planned, or that was, that went, down the sink?
Yeah, I mean, every time now you win some, you lose some. So you keep improving from the feedback you get. So I mean, I don't consider things like failures or losses really. I just like, they're just learning points. So if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, then we know that this doesn't work, or we change our approach and we improve on it. So it's like, we're just doing experiments. Every decision we make is an experiment, and the outcome is going to tell us whether we proceed there, or we pivot, or we just like trash it out completely.
Okay, so asking personal questions, Dan. I know the last time I asked a personal question, you did not hammer on it personally, but obviously I believe you're going to hammer on this one. So I know that, a lot of the times people are enthusiastic about tech and like, okay, yeah, I want to get into tech because I want to make a lot of money. When it got to your time when you actually, had that enthusiasm for tech, did it occur to you, or did people come to you and, how was it in your first year? Because I've had a lot of people say that, people should know that they're not going to make a lot of money in their first year. Sometimes you might not even make any money in your first year, sometimes a year and a half or two. So how was it in your own case when you started as a newbie in tech? Yeah. Did you make money in your first year? Because I want people to know this.
I don't think you make money your first year.
Okay.
And that's if your first year is your first year. In business or in your career, your professional career. If your first year is your first year, I don't think you should be expecting to make any money. Just be focused on absorbing information, learning and growing. But if your first year in tech is not necessarily your first year in your career, like you've been doing something else, maybe you're coming from the FMCG industry, you're coming from like traditional finance or whatever, and you're already like a 10-year, you have 10 years in your portfolio already, you're already like senior and stuff like that. If you come into tech, you're just going to transfer industry, and you will still make a lot of money. But if you're someone that is young and just starting out and you just got into tech today, they just gave you a job in something, don't worry about money for now. You need to qualify for the money you're looking for. I know a lot of the news what is popular is, tech bros, you're making
a lot of money, and people just want to delve into tech.
And some people that want to whine you, not tell you what they passed through before they got to that point. I tell
you, just let you get into it first.
Exactly. So, no, I didn't make money my own first year.
You heard it here live and direct. For people that are looking to get into tech, it's not, a walk in the park. You might get there and, maybe for you might not make money in your first 2 years. I'm just saying, so back to asking personal questions about marketing in action. So are there things that because I'm well aware that you have over 2,000 community, your communities are wide like that. They're wide in 2,000 numbers. So I'm asking, are there things that are new that you're going to be inculcating, in your systems, or what are the new things that probably you might have on your profile? What are the new things that you don't have on your profile that are looking, to be inculcated in the things that you're going to be doing, as time goes on?
Okay, so we have a bunch of things actually that we're going to be launching in this year, next year, and all of that.
Can you give us a feel of it?
Yeah. So first is, because of our community has been growing so far, mostly online, we've not had any like physical touch points, like meetups to just like share knowledge, share experiences and just relax. One of them is where we're looking towards having like an event for our community. Maybe sometime this year towards like the end, we'll probably do something to just bring our community together, and even like people outside to, just have fun. That's one. Two is that we are going to definitely be launching more programs for like training. This year, we're going to be launching a GTM engineering course, and that's like really very focused deep dive into AI for go-to-market use cases, which I talked about, like marketing and sales and all of that. That's not public yet. We're also going to be doing more on like the agency side. So I did say we have like an agency, which is Titaja. We're going to be doing more on the agency side and taking on more clients, because we've actually been like more stealth for a bit. Just trying to refine our processes and get some kind of validation from the market to be sure that, people who are servicing the right people with the right offers and stuff like that, But definitely we're going to be launching a lot of products. We do launch a lot of tools for the community. for them to help them to get work done in like their careers, we're going to be launching. We have so much that we've not put out there yet. So yeah, look forward to that.
Man, that's very interesting. So before we draw the curtain on today's show, I just wanted you to, leave a closing speech to people that, would want to say one day, actually, be like you. Yeah, because, there are a lot of people that, they have models and, looking up to people. The way he's smiling, it seems like it's a long stretch of things, but I just want you to, leave a word or two to, to people that actually probably might be looking up to you. You have communities out there and they're actually looking up to you. Just, let them know a thing or two.
Okay, so what I would say is that, first, you can look up to people, but be yourself, right? Your journey is still very different and unique for you. So enjoy the process and learn as much as possible, because I don't think anybody finds themselves in the beginning. You're going to find yourself over time from experiences, things you've gone through, things you've learned, people you've met and experienced. And that's how you build your persona, that this is who I am now, the values you uphold, the morals. And if it's things that you actually want in life, a lot of people are driven by money, true. But if you actually want money too, money comes to value. Money flows to places of value. So find the thing that you're really good at, that is also on the intersection of the thing that everybody wants, and can pay for, and do that thing very well. And you'll be very good, right? Because you could just be passionate about something, and that thing is it's not monetary. It doesn't generate anything. So if you want to make money really, and you want to, be comfortable enough, you need to find that thing that people want and be able to service that thing, because nobody wants to give money for charity like that consistently, right? So, once in a while people do charity, but if you want to consistently collect money from people without, them feeling like you're ripping them off, you have to actually, provide value to the things that they're offering. And that could be in tech, it could be in the creative industry, it could be anywhere. Just find what people want and service, and do it excellently. Because, this our landscape in like Nigeria majorly, we are very anyhow people. We don't have an excellent spirit, just like, that's how we do it. But no, if you want to really go far, and have something to say to people, then you need to take it excellently well. You have to go the extra mile. So it's really a staying thing. The longer you do something, most people cannot stay on anything for a long time, to when it starts to yield, right? So if you stay at what you're doing, stay at your craft for long enough, you need to, I think there's something called putting in like the 10,000 hours in whatever you're doing if you want to really succeed there. So put in those hours, because most people will not. People will just try to make money in their first year, and when they don't get it, they move to another thing. So you put in the work, put in the time, and you definitely reap the fruit. That's what I have to say.
That was definitely more than 2 words from Mr. James Praise. So like he said, just understand that you have to be authentic. You have to find a sellable service. And most importantly, you need to be consistent and understand that Rome wasn't built in a day, even if they built every day. So understand that you need to be consistent. You need to be focused, and you need to find the drive. And let your drive not only be monetary, have a drive of service and provide value. In that way, you're definitely going to make money. So that's where we draw the curtain on today's show on Tech Talk. Don't forget to like, share, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, this is where I call it goodbye, and it's bye for now.